So what do we do?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Nero Wujaba. We haven't quite started yet. We're giving people about 5 minutes or so to join. So hopefully 5 past, we'll make a start.
Good evening, Nero.
Good evening. Very good to speak to you, Sonny.
It's my pleasure.
Great.
Hello, are we live?
We are live, and we will be starting in another 3 minutes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
My chairman, Ms. Ude, I see you.
Okay, well, first of all, I'm happy to be a chairman, but I'm sure you're the chairman. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Trevor.
Good evening to you.
Good evening, Israel.
What's happening?
Man, you know, I swear, the guy that owns this platform is an amazing person because he managed to convince me. I didn't even say yes, but I'm on the platform. I missed my 10 million things I'm doing. I should be having
that's what I was going to say. Taking time off your busy schedule, huh?
I'm telling you, I should be doing an interview with Trace TV right now. I don't know. I said I'd like to meet him in person. I'm sure he can sell sand to the Middle Eastern guys.
No,
I truly can. Thank you so much.
You're an amazing
I'll
guy.
help you sell the sand to the Middle East.
You know, Israel, interestingly, I've known Iboro for a long time. I've known him for over 10 years. Over 10 years. I've known him for a long time. So it's interesting that, I didn't know it was him.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's interesting.
From the first time we met about 15 years ago or thereabout, when I was still a resident of Abuja. Unfortunately, I'm still in Abuja right now, unfortunately.
Well,
Thank you so much, sirs. God bless you. I feel very honored to have you here on the platform. I guess we should all put our videos on now. So we can start in a minute.
I'll send you. call you back. Okay. I'm already on. That's voice now. Sorry, I'm on the streets, huh?
That's fine. I think that's a sign of how important you see this discussion. So
no,
it's
very important.
Yes, it's very welcome that you joined regardless.
Not a problem.
Okay, I think we will make a start.
Yeah.
Thank you all very much for joining this very special discussion. My name is Nero Ujabo. I'm resident here in the United Kingdom, former special advisor to the UK Prime Minister on social justice, opportunity, and young people. I'm currently a senior strategy advisor to the Prince's Trust and the Prince's Group, the organizations of His Royal Highness Prince Charles, the Prince of Wales. I'm also a great supporter and a member of Alert Africa, an organization that I believe is going to make great changes in terms of how we engage the public and particularly young people in our country, Nigeria. So today, very, very special and important event. The event has been titled Nigerian Voices, State of the Nation. As somebody who has worked in politics for a very long time, I fully appreciate that you cannot get through democracy unless people are involved, unless the ordinary citizen has a means to participate. This is why today is incredibly important, because it's about giving voices to the citizens of Nigeria to think about our future together and to think about the challenges that we face, but more importantly, the solutions that we can bring forward to help address some of these challenges. So tonight we're joined by an esteemed group of individuals from a very special sector in our country, the entertainment sector. And I think the power of this sector is not an illusion to anyone. I think it's very clear globally that Nigerians in the entertainment sector are making waves, not just the young people who are in the sector, but also those who have been in the sector for a very long time. Nigerian music, Nigerian movies, Nigerian books, and so on are spreading across the world and making serious progress and contributing vastly to the Nigerian economy. So I think it's incredibly important that we hear from those who are in the sector, as we are at a significant crossroad. I think it's fair to say that we are at a significant crossroad, and there are many, many serious challenges facing our country, that we have an opportunity to have a discussion. And what we're doing this evening is only the start of a number of conversations that we want to host, not just with the Nigerian audience, but with Nigerians across the world. So there will be follow-up discussions across the globe to highlight these issues. And again, as I said, to focus very specifically on the solutions, on the way in which we as citizens can contribute to the advancement of Nigeria. This is why it's very important that this discussion is a non-partisan discussion. It's not, we have not, the discussion is not sponsored by any political party, and we have not chosen to engage this as a political discussion. This is a discussion among citizens and amongst people who have great influence and can contribute to the way forward for our nation. We will break the conversation into three key parts. One is about our collective socio-economic transformation as a nation. And the second is about political inclusion. And the third, just to touch on the recent anniversary of the End SARS movement in our country. So we will call on individuals to respond to these issues as we move along. And hopefully very specifically, even if we are analyzing the challenges that we face, we do so with both eyes on the future. What can we do as we move forward? So before we go on to our keynote speakers, if I can invite the convener of this meeting and the chairperson of Alert Africa, Mr. Iboro Otu, to say a few words. So Iboro, over to you.
Thank you so much, sir. Good evening all, good evening ladies and gentlemen. I am very happy that we are here together to discuss issues that are burning in our hearts at the moment and are issues that are critical to all Nigerians from all walks of life. We all know that when it comes to global influence and position, Nigerian entertainment products and services are by far our biggest export. Almost everyone in the world is listened to or heard about Nigerian artists and seen Nigerian movies. And as such, with the power of entertainment globally, we also believe that we can use it to turn around the fortune of this country. We know that the entertainment sector in Nigeria was taken up from ground to where it is today by young people with no support from anywhere. And if that can happen in the entertainment sector, it can happen in every other sector as long as there is support from young Nigerians. Like Mr. Nero said, and I won't take much of our time, so we can go straight to the conversation. It's about proffering solutions. We all know our problems, and sometimes we talk our problems to death. Today, where we are, it's about what we can do as a people, what collectively and how can we drive leadership conversations and a conversation around young people, especially women, to lead to transformation. If we can take 2 months to get 50 million Nigerians to belong to the Stingy Men Association and get millions of other Nigerians to watch Big Brother Africa and be very excited about Premier Football, leading our country forward and working together to move Nigeria shouldn't be such a big problem. So in our guess, we think that it's about the right people having the right conversations and leading the way forward in very articulated strategy so young people that are listening, that have passion, can follow. Thank you so much for coming on board. This is just one of the many conversations we'll be having one week, not just in Nigeria, not just in Abuja, but across cities in the country and across major cities in the world. We're hoping to have this conversation physically in the House of Lords in December this year in London. And beyond that, we are hoping to have this in state capitals across the country. So welcome and thank you so much for having the time.
Great, thank you, Boro. And I think we'll plunge straight into the conversation. We will give everyone between 2 to 5 minutes just to kind of capture your contribution and your perspective and your projection into the future, what we can do to address the key challenges facing our country, Nigeria. In no particular order, we'll just kind of pick people. And very particularly, this first round of contributions, I really just want to focus on the sort of collective socio-economic prosperity of Nigeria. And you can use the opportunity to also just, touch a bit on your own personal experience in the country. I will introduce you as the speaker, and I will also give your biography so people know who you are. I'm sure they already do. But if we can start with Sonny Neji. Just for information, Sonny Neji is a Nigerian musician and showbiz personality. Over to you, Sonny.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, yeah, good evening. Good evening, everyone. I want to thank Iboro for putting this together. I'm sure this is something that we should be doing more often. The more we talk, the more we relate, the more we share ideas. I'm sure the faster we begin to find solutions to our challenges. For Nigeria, for me, I think the young people have just been off when it comes to being concerned about what's happening in the country. Everyone is just pursuing their own personal agenda. And for there to be any meaningful growth in any society, it has to be beyond just your own personal agenda. You have to think of the other person too. For there to be growth, You can't just focus and concentrate on just you, yourself, and you alone. You have to think about the larger picture. As much as you want to grow personally, as much as we all want individual growth, we should also be looking at the larger picture. Because if everyone else isn't growing, then we have a problem. We can't really be making any meaningful progress. So I think we just have to find a way to get the young people to understand this and get them to get involved more. Get them to understand that this country belongs to them too. They need to realize this once more. Maybe a long time ago, young people used to believe in this nation, but they do not believe so much in this country anymore. So that's why everyone is just doing their own thing now. So the challenge will be how to convince them to begin to believe in this country once again. Let them know that they have stakes here. A friend of mine who just came back from UK a few days ago said to me that most of them in the diaspora want to come back home. They want to come back home. There's a whole lot they feel they can contribute here. But why aren't they coming? You know, we need to understand what is really going on and see how we can attack this. And the more we talk like this, I believe, the more we'll be able to find a solution that we all can begin to sell to people out there, and then we can deploy. So I'll leave that here for now until when I'm called upon again.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you. And I think you make very, very important points. There was some very, very powerful thing you said, that the young people, and I imagine that applies to everyone too, that we really need to believe in Nigeria again. And I think that's a very, very powerful message. And that one of the gaps that we see now is our inability to work together as a collective. Yes, our inability to work together as a collective is impacting on the progress of our nation. So thank you very much for those contributions. Very powerful. If I can come to Audu Maikori. Audu, sorry, my apologies. Yeah, he's a lawyer, entrepreneur, and social activist, and the co-founder of Chocolate City, a leading entertainment company. Over to you, please.
Thank you. I didn't expect to be called so quickly, so I haven't put my thoughts together. But let me just say that I was actually on the call earlier on with. I think some people have to mute their mics if you're not speaking, because it's a bit distracting. Yeah, so I was actually on the call with one of those artists who's quite prominent in Nigeria, and we're just talking, and I was like, what do you think for 2023? And he said he doesn't really see any hope. He doesn't think that there's going to be any real shift. And my question then was, why do you think that there's not going to be a shift? And he said, because he doesn't see that there's going to be a change in the guard of leadership in Nigeria. So I said, okay, let's assume that is so. What does that mean for your career? What does that mean for your business? And they said, well, it means it's going to be the same old thing. So for the next 8 years, we're going to see another slide. So my question then to him, because I wasn't trying to offer any solutions, by the way, I just wanted to hear what the next generation is thinking. And I said, okay, so with your influence on the people that you know, what do you think you can bring to change things? And he was quiet for a while, and he was like, well, sometimes when you get involved, you can also get harassed by the government and things like that. NSAS, for example, what just happened in Lagos State over the past week or so is further proof that the government hasn't shifted their position. So therefore, many young people are discouraged, and they feel that what they do will not have an impact. And then the final thing I asked him then was, do you think in any way that the Nigerian music industry has impacted the world about the perception of Nigerians? And he said, yes, it has. And whether it be film or fashion or music or whatever it is, the people on this panel are the people that built the architecture, all of you here on the panel. And you've been able to affect the perception of Nigerians on a global scale. We need to understand what that means. It means that I'll give you a simple example. 15 years ago, when I used to travel to the UK and I go to the thing, when I used to say, oh, I'm in music, and they'll look at me somehow, right? So I had to say I'm an attorney and I work with this company and this company. Then they say, okay, you came for a conference, no problem walking. 7, 8 years later, now when I walk in and say I'm from the music industry, what happens? They say, oh, how's Wizkid or how's Burna Boy? You know, or they say, okay, good, enjoy yourself. You know, can I have an autograph? Oh, you're a label guy. Because we have changed our perception. So what it means now is that there is power in our hands. We're just not using the power in the right way. So we can give all the excuses we want to. We can say we don't have money, but what we have is more than money. Many of you on this call, once you make a statement online, magazines copy, people copy, and it becomes a trending topic, right? Which is what a politician is going to spend how many hundreds of millions paying newspapers to do the same thing. It's not the same impact. Many people have more followers than our president or our governors, many of them. So the question is that how do we convert the social capital that we have, which is social currency, right? It's virtual power. So let's understand that the politicians are using Naira and Kobo. Today we're talking about crypto. We're talking about not e-Naira, we're talking about crypto, money that goes across in seconds. And that's the power that we wield. So I would say that we have to examine really closely in what way can we use our influence for the first time with integrity. It's not about a paycheck, right? It's not about a one-off transaction. We're talking about pension. Who is the person who will give us the pension that we can live our whole life relying on coming in forever? And not the person who gives you money right now and says, oh, go out and jump and do a movie or do whatever it is to put me in power. And immediately you're done, that transaction is gone. You have no residual income coming from that vote. So I would say that that's a good place to start from. I don't want to talk too much, but yeah, those are my thoughts. We must convert it now into actionable items. And I think as we go on, we'll find what those actionable items are. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Incredibly impressive. And just one comment first. So I'm particularly impressed by the picture right above your head and the wording so clear. One day our goals will make history. And I think that's a very powerful message. And, you know, a number of things that you said, sometimes people don't know how powerful they are. In politics, you see that politicians tend to manipulate individuals, citizens, and so on. But the citizens themselves lack that understanding of how powerful they are. And I will echo what you said completely, that the Nigerian entertainment sector is incredibly powerful, beyond measure, beyond what we accept as both citizens and individuals who are working in the sector. And just one last phrase that you use as well, that when somebody in a movie I was watching today, a parent was saying to the child that you only have 2 lives and your second life begins the day you recognize that you have power. You know, so I think it's a very powerful message that you've sent, and that phrase that we should harness the social power of the sector in order to drive change and drive transformation in our country. I think that's a message to one and all. So thank you very much for your contribution. To ensure that we have gender balance, which is something that we want to make sure we do tonight, and make sure that we hear from all voices. If I can now go to Chioma Chukwuka, an award-winning Nigerian actress, director, and film producer. We're delighted to welcome you. Over to you. Thank you.
I'm not sure that there are 2 Chiomas on this panel. I am Chioma Ude. Maybe there's Chioma Chukwuka also. So if there's Chioma Chukwuka on the panel, I'll say she should speak. And then when you get to Chioma Ude, she will speak also.
My apologies. I did mean you. So apologies. I will start again. So delighted to ask Chioma Ude to speak, an award-winning entertainment mogul and founder of Africa International Film Festival. Thank you so much. You are welcome.
Well, thank you. That was very unsettling, but we'll take it from there. So Good evening, everyone. I'm very happy
evening,
this is
madam.
happening. We do this in silos, and hopefully one day we'll all come together to make that kind of impact that we created for NSAS and move it forward. So talking about Nigeria being our home, right? Talking about our industry being a driver for change. Now, in Nigeria today, you find that most people I deal with, and typically I'm going to talk about the people in film on different levels, be you young, middle age, or much older. We understand what we understand. In Nigeria, you have a pocket of people who have gone beyond just knowing how to do film in Nigeria and knowing the effect of how powerful they are. You have another set that truly understands how powerful they can be to effect change from film. Now, film for me and music, basically the most important because it goes straight into your home, your bedroom, your cars, everybody, you can watch film. And when you watch film, whatever the message is on these films stays in your brain. It kind of defines the culture you're watching or the group of people you're watching. Now, I'll speak for NSAS because I was very affected by it. So during NSAS, we had a lot of the creative industry be part of that movement. And they drove it so well. It was very admirable. I came out on day 4 to just join. Before, when it started, I'm like, what's happening here? Nobody knew what it was. But you could see how powerful the creative industry was in bringing out people, in arresting the minds of the politicians. Like we said, this is not about politics, but I don't know how we can talk about anything in this country without talking about leadership. And if you're not talking about leadership, then politics, I don't know how that blends. So we shouldn't also deceive ourselves to find a way to separate both. We cannot. So now I'm going to go back to how we can use what we have as a means of power, as a means to drive change. And I'll use an example of a young boy who came into Nigeria for Big Brother. He's in America, he lives in New York. He's doing movies already, but he has little parts. Being in Big Brother, staying in Nigeria, he realized how powerful and how effective he could be and much faster. So he decided to stay back and he met with a couple people to say, how can I be of help and how can you help me to make this, so to drive me forward. So first of all, instead of getting people to come back to a nation that they don't know what is moving it or what is motivating it or what is driving it, you let them see things for themselves. You're not going to stay in Nigeria and say, oh, come back, because the press is totally destroyed what we have of Nigeria. But we know what we have. Now, I run the Africa International Film Festival, and I understand what it is to train people. In training people, you're training their minds, you're giving them power, you're telling them how effective and how powerful they are. They make documentaries. I'm so all for documentaries because in documenting the state of our nation, and it translates to people abroad. People know what's happening within, and that's how you can begin to have these kind of discussions with my friend who is in London talking to us. He's not here. So basically what he knows is happening from documentaries, is working from films, from TV, from all of that. I know I'm jumping all over the place, but that's because I'm also very mindful of these 3 to 5 minutes I've been giving. So let me streamline my thoughts. First of all, we need to understand how powerful we are as a creative industry. Second of all, in film, we need to know that we are number one for driving a certain narrative for the rest of the world to know about you. We all know what the American dream is without going to America, because in the films, they showed us what it was. Growing up, I knew about Indians because of how they dance. So we need to document, we need to continue to showcase what we have here, both positive and negative. Mostly positive, but you need to drive conversations if you want things to get better. And then thirdly, we need to continue to educate. I'm very big on educating the industry. I do that for free. I've done that for 10 years. We're going to continue to do that because in educating anybody, you can also get the change you want. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was an amazing contribution to the conversation. Very, very pleased with some of the things you said in terms of, one, I think this point needs to be repeated. You said we must talk about politics. So we cannot separate the issues from politics. But I suppose the initial call was more of focusing a conversation like this on just attacking politicians, but really thinking about the other contributions that we can make. And you've mentioned a number of very important things that we can do. One is that we need to let people see us for themselves, yes, and we need to know who we are. It seems like as a nation, because of so many challenges that we face, we forget how great we are as a people, as Nigerians. And I think that's an important message. So your point about education from that perspective is incredibly important. One of the things you said earlier as well, which I think makes this event also very powerful, is that we tend to discuss these issues which affect all of us. We tend to discuss them in silos. And this is an opportunity to begin to have collaborative joint conversations about the issues that we know affect every single one of us, to begin to reflect on what we can do collectively in order to address those issues. So thank you very much for those contributions. I'm sure there will be further opportunities to contribute as well, so please stay with us.
Thank you.
If I can now introduce Gracie May, please. Gracie May is an award-winning entertainment journalist and UK #1 Afrobeat host. Very, very much looking forward to your contribution, Gracie. Over to you.
Thank you so much for the kind intro. As has been said, I'm an entertainment journalist based in London. British bred, and I guess my contribution is an angle that hasn't necessarily been touched so far, but I am so passionate about leveraging the diaspora. I'm second generation. I was born here, my mum was born here, and as has been said earlier, there's often a disconnect between finding the right place to contribute back at home and engaging in a meaningful way. There are so many conversations that I had around us, about us. Everybody's trying to jap us. There was a joke earlier about getting to Canada or going to the UK, and actually we're fundamental in the conversation as well. We see how processes work outside of Nigeria. We see how things function, and we know that in as much as we have a unique perspective, because we have different traditions and different culture, there's a benefit in being able to transfer some of the learnings that we've had from outside back home. One of the biggest complaints that you hear, whether it's on Clubhouse, which has been a hot debating platform for the last year or so, is the brain drain. You speak to politicians, they say the same thing. I'm sure everybody on the call can say the same. 80% of us, from what I can tell, are not currently based in Nigeria. And it means that in as much as we can have an impact in terms of the perception of Nigeria outside of the country, there's so much more that we can still do from within. So as an example, my job is to tell stories and to help people have their voices being heard, whether it's on radio, TV, YouTube, podcasts, in written form as well. And that helps us get the image, or that helps improve the image of Nigerians from Nigeria outwards. I think there is still a gap with how we see ourselves and how powerful we are. And yeah, I think I'll keep it short and brief. I think the key here is to leverage the diaspora to connect back home and to contribute in a meaningful way. And again, I'm sure we have a panel of distinguished guests. They'll be able to elaborate further on how to do so. So thank you.
Great, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I think again, some of the projects I've participated in, that goes beyond just the Nigerian context. We talk about being able to bring together a movement of people of African descent all over the world. And in this particular conversation, to think about the problems of Nigeria, you have to think about how we can harness that contribution of Nigerians globally, because Nigerians are everywhere. I even have cousins in places like Finland, where you barely see any sun, is all snow. So that tells you the kind of spread of Nigerians across the world. And that diaspora definitely has a role in contributing to the development of Nigeria. So thank you very much for drawing attention to that. I think there will be further contributions from UK-based entertainment gurus. So we look forward to that as well. What I want to do is just shift slightly to the role of young people and discuss the EndSARS movement in that context, because in recent Nigerian history, that is the most obvious way in which young people in the country, whether young women or young men, have stood up to say, we want to be part of the defining of Nigeria's future. We want to be able to put forward our vision for this country and what we want it to be. So if I can call on Lancelot Imasue, an award-winning film director, screenwriter, and producer, just to give us your perspective on the EndSARS movement, but particularly a focus on the role of young people as we move towards a better future for our country.
Hi, good evening, everybody. I'm Lancelot Imasue, and I'm a Nollywood filmmaker and a cultural activist. I believe strongly in using the instrumentality of motion picture and general entertainment for changing a society. And to me, the EndSARS event of last year, that of this year, was a pointer to that direction, that there's power and strength in unity, and entertainers over time have been able to garner this kind of following that actually instrument a change in our society. I participated, though I will not consider myself a youth anymore. I'm 50. But that was a very beautiful opportunity for me to join minds with the younger generation of Nigeria in calling for a brand new Nigeria. I'll be very honest with you. I've taken my patriotism about Nigeria to a certain unbelievable level. I've had opportunities to live in several places around the world, but I always refused. Even going to have children abroad was not fashionable for me. I just believed in Nigeria, and I believed that it was going to work. But unfortunately, over time, year in, year out, looking at the political space, look at the social space, you will be appalled by how badly we have degenerated. I was watching television today, and a former governor said it is a decision between the bad and the very bad. The situation we have had has been bad, and now we are in a very bad situation. So this is the challenge that we face. And I want to align with the Chocolate City guy that entertainers really do not know the kind of power that they possess in effecting.
We do not. And because I come from a school of thought that has always believed that we can reel for change. But I say the motto for my company is reeling for change. I believe there is a whole lot we can push forward to begin to change the narrative. But something has been responsible for us not fully utilizing this for the betterment of our society. And that issue boils down to what I want to call poverty. Because the way the system is structured, because of the way the system is structured. Somebody met me yesterday and said he has a political fame, a political story that he wants to do. I said, I have my fear, nobody will buy it. Just about 3 days ago, I ran into a clip of one of the works I did 2001, titled Love and Politics. There we are tempted to see what we can do in changing our society, changing the political atmosphere of our society. But most times there's this apathy by the viewers towards these works that are very political. A lot of them just want to tell you that, oh, my friend, we already are aware of the situation. Don't go and burden us more with with this. They just want to laugh. They want to look at other things that are not so serious. But the time has come for us to begin to reevaluate our position as entertainers, our position as musicians, our position as filmmakers, to begin to put pressure on our creativity so that our creativity can put pressure on our society for a better tomorrow. The situation has depleted to a very unimaginable level, and the more we keep quiet, the more things go bad. So I align very strongly with the NSAS protest, and I feel that is something that we need stronger. Is some kind of movement that we need, using all instruments of entertainment for social change. This is something those that have made, if you look at the shared numbers of followers that our entertainers garner, that they have, then you can very well imagine the power we have in our hands. But how well have we been able to use this? That is a question for another time. So I'm a strong advocate for using our arts, using our strength to effecting the change we need in our society. Once the narrative, we are consistent with a brand new narrative, I can assure you that we'll begin to make headway because we got the power. That is the much I can say for now. Like I made a film not some time ago, about 9 years ago, titled Invasion 1897. Just yesterday here, a university returned the ones in their possession. And I was getting a lot of congratulatory messages from people that maybe your voice has been heard. There are other narratives that have been out there, but strongly, entertainment takes the lead as far as wanting to deliberately effect changes in our society is concerned. Let me pause at that. Thank you.
Very, very powerful. Thank you so much for that contribution. I love the things you said. I definitely want to see your movie Love and Politics. I think the two quite don't mix in Nigeria, but it will be a great thing to watch to see how we can match those two things together. And one of the key points you make is the whole thing about re-evaluating. And I think that's a very powerful message about artists, entertainers across Nigeria, just taking the time to pause and think about the contribution of your art to development in our country and to change in our country. And I'm going to definitely steal this, your sentence that says entertainment for social change. I think that's a powerful, powerful message. So thank you very much for that contribution. If I can invite Rugged Man, aka Michael Stevens, an award-winning rapper, businessman, and political scientist, to contribute to that bit about NSAS and how we get our young people, support the young people to move to that next stage of driving change forward in our country. So Rugged Man, over to you.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, that's Sonny. Lancelot. Paul play. Sorry, guys, I have to greet my elders in the industry, and of course, Madam Chioma. It's nice. It's an honor to be given the opportunity to speak here. You know, amongst so many distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I would say the part about entertainers not knowing the power they wield in Nigeria. I would say a lot of us do, or let me say some of us do. But it's unfortunate that as we speak, we're in a country where freedom of speech is a risky thing. It's not what we have right now. Freedom of speech is not what we have right now. So not too many people have the guts to actually speak up about things going on. They know the power they have. They know, and one of the best things you can use to pass any message is music, or should I say entertainment, but I'm speaking from the music angle as a musician. 20th of October, 2021, I just put out an EP titled The Situation. It's a body of work that speaks on the situation of the country and everything that's going on. I touched on politics, I touched on religion, I touched on the youth, I touched on NSAS, I touched on the Lekki killings, shooting. A lot of people have been asking me, oh, are you not afraid they will come for you? Are you not afraid that this will happen? This is the time we're in Nigeria. So sometimes I want to say I don't blame too many young people, or should I say too many musicians who do not speak against or talk about what's happening in the country directly. Some of them are afraid, but I'm not saying I have two heads, but I am who I am how I am. If you know Rugged Man, for the past 5-6 years, I've been doing a lot of humanitarian work by being the middleman between the people out here in Nigeria, especially the youth who get arrested illegally, extorted illegally, detained illegally. And I do everything I can to assist them in getting freedom, getting their money back, and getting anything they need, any type of assistance. I give them that. And that's me doing that as an entertainer. There are not too many of us that do that. I don't only leave it at making music to talk. I actually walk the talk. So that's me, but there aren't too many people like me. You understand? NSAS on its own was a wonderful, wonderful thing that happened. It was, I'll call it the 10th wonder, because our government did not expect the level of organization that happened. They did not expect the level of organization the youth could. When I remember some time ago where there was the phrase lazy youth. When suddenly the lazy youth just surprised you, and you just realize that the lazy youth actually isn't lazy. The youth has been oppressed for so long, has been deprived for so long, has been pushed back for so long. The youth just decided to stand up and speak for themselves. And they organized themselves during a protest. And if you remember correctly, there was no robbery, there was no fighting, there was no trouble during the protest until the Nigerian police got involved. There was nothing. There was no disorganized anything. I was at the protest ground a couple of times. There was a time when somebody left phones and jewelry on the car seats on the driver's side. The windows were up. Somebody saw it, stood there, sent a message to the MC on the stage. The MC announced that there's a car that has valuables exposed. The owner went there, unlocked the car, took everything. Nobody broke into the car. At a point during the protest, they gave women whistles. The whistles were so that if there's any woman who's in trouble in any way, she just blows the whistle and then people come to help. But nobody blew the whistle because it wasn't needed. There was a lady at the protest who was selling, I think she was selling either pure water or oranges. Right there and then, the youth there organized themselves and they raised close to 2 million naira for her. This protest went on for at least 12-something days. They were feeding, they were taking care of themselves, were organized. This wasn't expected. And all of a sudden, yes, some people, they will do the usual propaganda thing. Some people are funding it. Some people were funding it. We had to eat, we had to drink, we had to take care of ourselves. We had to put up a stage. Somebody came there and built a makeshift phone charging section. where people were going to charge their phone so that we can keep tweeting and posting on social media. All of a sudden, there was a talk of hoodlums will hijack it, hoodlums will hijack it, hoodlums will hijack it. If the authorities knew or thought that hoodlums would hijack it, number one, to protest in our own country is our right. It's not against the law, one. And then number two, if the police had actually done what they were supposed to do, which was protect the protesters, or should I say protect the citizens, let me not even call them protesters. If they had protected the citizens in the first place, hoodlums would not have any opportunity to come in and cause any problems. They kept talking about hoodlums might hijack the protest. So why didn't you do something about stopping that happening? Instead, you waited for hoodlums to come, and then you now took that as your excuse to come in and shoot tear gas and do whatever to disperse the protesters, not arrest the hoodlums. Anyways, for me to not talk too long for too much, what I'm trying to say here is the youth know the power they have. They know that the youth know the power they have. Entertainers know the powers they have. But both of them, the youth and the entertainers, have the same problem. We have a government that only bullies people. A government that will shut you up. We have a government that will not let you speak, that will arrest you and find something to rope you into. Sorry, I'm being very straightforward, but that's the kind of human being I am. I don't know how to beat about the bush too much. You understand? So we are a group of people, we are a set of people in Nigeria who have been deprived so much that some people are so weak right now, they will take any crumbs. We're talking about entertainers. All of us here have witnessed all that has been going on, what the government has been doing to all of us, doing to the country. Some entertainers will speak up. But then again, the next day or a week after, you will see some entertainers taking pictures with the same government officials who are depriving you of everything you need to progress. What do you say to that? You understand? So are you on the side of the entertainers, or are you on the side of the government that's depriving you, that's treading on your fundamental human rights? And then tomorrow, how do you come out to complain about such a government or such a governor or senator? You understand? So we know the power we have, but it's left to us how we want to use that power. I choose to use mine to speak up for the people, while some used to use theirs to promote and support the same government that's killing us. I'll stop there for now.
Great. Thank you very much for that contribution. I think very, very thought-provoking, very, very powerful. And I think the contradictions in our country, Nigeria, are obvious to all of us. And I suppose part of this evening is discussing how we overcome those contradictions, even on a personal level, where there is that conflict of what do you support in order to promote your own well-being and so on, and how do you join the collective to drive towards that much more longer-term change. So thank you for those. And I like the phrase you use, walk the talk. And I think that's incredibly important, that we need to see a lot more people walking the talk. Obviously, personal safety is an important thing, but as far as it's practicable to make the change, we need to walk the talk. There are many countries in the world that do far, far worse to their citizens than Nigeria, but you find that in those countries, the entertainment sector, the film sector still has a massive role in contributing to change in those countries. So thank you. I would now like to introduce Sonia Mercilinia, a UK-based radio producer, host, and creative director. Sonia, over to you, please. I think Sonia may have dropped off. The connection may have dropped off. So we'll come back to Sonia later, if that's okay. Right. So if we can go to, if I can introduce Israel Ejiran, an award-winning broadcaster and serial businessman, to make his contribution, please. Israel, over to you. Israel? Okay, great.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. I'm going to speak from an advisory position, not necessarily capacity, but a position to the younger people. No nation can be built or gets built without the energy, the vibrancy, and the inputs of its youths. Sometimes Nigerians talk about youths in abstract. The actual people who moved for the conveyance of independence of this country were youths, from Anthony Nahoro to Fani Kayode and the rest of the gang. Some of them were 24, some of them were 23. The Civil War was fought on both sides by youths who were in their 20s and their early 30s, from Ojukwu to Gowon, to Hassan Usman Katsina, to the rest of the gang who were, all of them were young people. When Obasanjo took over power in 1976, he was still a very young man, under 40. The very first set of politicians who took over power in 1999 in this new dispensation were very young people. Most of the governors were either under 40 or just hitting 40. So when we talk about young people and young people, most of this, the representation of young people in the polity and policy and politics of Nigeria has been replete throughout the history of Nigeria. It has never really truly been absent. So when a lot of young people talk about, I think what people are talking about when talking about youths, they're talking about the present day youths. What is the need for them? I look at the youths of this country and I shudder. I shudder because this is seemingly in the last 20 years, this is the first time in Nigeria's history that youth participation, especially in corridors of power, have been a bit lacking. And I wonder why. It's not like it's totally lacking, but they're not in positions of power. They don't make decisions. And this is the very first time that we have such a vibrant collection of young people who are so educated, both in Nigeria and outside Nigeria. But what I try to want to see, or what I would love to see, is harnessing this vibrant energy, especially the one we get from music, from entertainment, and even in fintech. And a lot of people in technology who are doing wonderful things who are young people. But I hear the voice that says, where there is no vision, the people perish. There's another translation that says, where there's no vision, the people cast off restraint. So what you see is that there is individual vision, there is vision amongst groups of people, but there is no collective national vision. If people go back home to something, now when a lot of diaspora youths are saying, we want to come back, one of the reasons that they are restrained is because there is nothing really to come back home. I'm not talking about development, I'm not talking about structural development. I'm talking about something visionary, something to hold on to, something that makes you Nigeria. Where is it? Where is that thing that makes you really, truly want to die for this country? Is the absence of it. And it's some kind of philosophical conundrum. I say that to say this, that the youths are expecting the elders to leave something behind for them. But the way it is now and the way it sounds, some youth, some young people are going to have to rise up and take the reins of power and lead their fellow young people to a new Nigeria. When there's always a vacuum, it must be filled. And the older people are not going to fill it for you because most of them are extremely greedy. I'm sorry. And I'm not blaming them per se, but that is the lot that they found themselves in. The young people are even worse still in being greedy, but the young people have both the energy, they have the ability to be visionary as young people, to look inside themselves. They're still searching, they're still seeking in their souls. Yeah, they can come up with something. I don't know what it is in different departments. It doesn't have to be a holistic thing. In entertainment, somebody can rise up. I heard what Rugged Man was talking about. You can escalate that to just being an activist, to be a real visionary. People will listen to you. To make statements, to continue with this kind of colloquium, if you call it that, you know, have meetings, have talks, have events where people are listening to each other. I believe in entertainment. I'm in the entertainment industry, but beyond and above that, people need to begin to talk now. And SARS, for some people, think it was a missed opportunity. I don't think so. Yes, it was a stumbling block that was put before them, but they can use this stumbling block as a stepping stone. It is something that they can latch onto and develop some kind of vision from there. When I looked at it from afar, and I'll be realistic, I wasn't involved in it, maybe also because of my age, but I was watching it. I was an observer. What I saw lacking was directors. There was no real clear-cut direction. And where there is no vision, like I did say earlier, the people cast off restraint. Another version says the people perish. So I like to see more from people like a Rugged Man, from other youth leaders, Aidu Mikori and the rest of the gang. I like to see more sacrificial leadership that will translate and transform into some kind of visionary leadership. And when that begins to happen, people follow after ideas. It is all over history. People will follow. And Nigerians, I think the time is ripe and the time is here. Nigerians in diaspora, in everywhere in the country, people in the world, young people are waiting for those leaders, not just one person, for those people who would take the gauntlet and say, look, I think it's time for us to lead us to a better country. And when you come with your ideas, by the time they refurbish the ideas over 2, 3, 4, 5 years, some real good youth leaders will emerge. And that is the way I see it. And that is my submission, at least for now.
Thank you very much. Very, very impressive. I like the phrase, the people perish. Where there is no vision, the people perish. I think that's a fantastic saying. And in terms of thinking about the collective national vision that you were discussing, one of the things I kind of see in society is that people are waiting for somebody over there to define that for them. In actual fact, we can define that for ourselves. It's not just a role of government to determine the vision for a country. Young people can come up with their own vision for the country. Women can come up with a vision. All of us as citizens need to be part of that process of defining that vision, because it's when we buy into it personally that we work for it, work with it to help to drive the nation forward. So thank you very much for that. And on that point, I would like us to kind of also think about political inclusion. How do we engage those, I mean, Nigeria now, to say those who are not engaged in the political process is pretty much the vast majority of the nation. And that is a big challenge for us that we have to overcome. If I can invite Madu Chikwendu, an award-winning film director and producer, former president of the Association of Movie Producers of Nigeria, to make your contribution. Thank you very much, and you're welcome. Madu Chikwendu, if you can unmute.
Yeah, can you hear me now? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, moderator, for giving me the floor. First of all, I consider myself a politician in the film industry because I realized long ago that film life is politics. You see, people always start by telling you that they are not politicians, but everybody is a political animal. It was interesting. Sometime in 2019, I attended a conference, and the French ambassador to Nigeria said that for us in France, culture is politics. Hollywood is politics. Now, if you look at the NSAS protest, I would give 3 examples. One, a Dragunov sniper's rifle, an AK-47 rifle, and a dam. You see, the AK-47 is celebrated all over the world because it's about the cheapest rifle. It's very easy to maintain, but it's not very accurate. It's not like a sniper's rifle, like a Dragunov, a Russian-made Dragunov, which can score at a distance. In fact, the fastest distance scored by a sniper think it was in 2018 in Iraq, about 4,500 meters, a rifle. So a sniper's rifle is very accurate. Then if you look at a dam, you see the water flow, but once you dam it, it has a direction and it begins to generate power. So I must confess that I found Israel's submission very refreshing because it's more like what I wanted to say. You see, NSAS was good, but it could have been better. It could have been better directed like a sniper's rifle. What was the purpose? Okay, oh, we want to stop the police from harassing young people who are going about their business. The important thing about NSAS is the level of consciousness that was raised. But beyond that, we have to admit that a lot more can be achieved. I have the advantage of also being a politician. I've been a party official in my state, Abia State, apart from being in the entertainment business. And I can tell you, there are two categories of people that are the most important in the electoral process, and they are the youths and the women. You know why? Because they're the ones that vote. It is the women that vote, and it is the youth that protect the votes. Go and check the statistics from INEC. Therefore, beyond protesting, we need the youths to come out to go and get their voters' card. Because except we decide that we are not operating in a democracy, the only way to bring about change is through a democratic process. Except we're inviting the soldiers to come back. And mind you that this is not far-fetched. Look at what happened in Guinea, in Mali, and a few days ago in the Sudan. These things, you see, the situation in Nigeria is, Nigerians always think we are special. When I was president of AMPA, we used to travel over the world. You know, you tell people to fill the correct information in their passport. They think that the embassy will understand. We always think that everybody should understand Nigeria. But everything has procedures and processes. And that process is that if you're in a democratic process, you go to the votes and cast your votes. And don't tell me that votes don't count, because they count. I have been a politician, like I said earlier. I have been in polling booths where people said, in my state, in Abia, in 2015, we won 11 seats out of, was it 24? In a state, no, 12, and then we lost one, the 13th one. In a state that PDP had been in power for 16 years, opposition had never won one seat. I went to my schoolmate Oti, who was the MD of Diamond Bank. He was gubernatorial candidate, and we believe we won that election. We lost our Supreme Court. So I'm telling you that I have seen votes count. What the entertainers need to do, because they're influencers, it's not just about making the right noise, sound bites. You see, this is our problem. We reason in terms of the sound bite. What will my fans like? What should I say that they will like? It's not about what people like. It is about what is right. Right is that the society that has given us so much deserves a lot more from us. And what is that thing? That thing is that in 2023, wherever you are, you should influence people. In fact, not even 2023, because 2023 is determined by 2021. Okay? 2023 is determined by your voters' card, where you're going to be, and those that will come out to vote. What percentage of people vote in Nigeria? I think probably less than 30% of registered voters go to the polls. This is the truth. And this is the tragedy. So you cannot have any discussion. And you see, my brother, I am tired of all this talk about narrative conversation. We have had too many conversations and narratives. And let me end by asking you, what happens after this discussion, this conversation, this narrative by Alert Africa? What happens? We need to go down. You see, you cannot make an omelette without breaking eggs. There is no way we are going to have any form of change without jumping inside the pit. This is the truth of the matter. All of us that are influencers, one way or the other, should go and begin to mobilize and say, look, it's not about abusing Buhari. And you see, people, it's so easy to talk about politicians, to talk about the president. What about you? In what way have you tried to change your society? Have you tried to change your environment? All right. In what way have you been, okay, even if you don't even have to be a model citizen, you can influence people in so many different ways. In what way have you tried? Nobody, you see, I have never seen, and I tell you, in Nollywood, I'm an administrator. This is the truth of the matter. I have run so many gigs and associations who founded. I'm a pioneer in Nollywood from day one. So I can tell you, I have never seen any administrator anywhere in the world who set out to fail. I've never seen anybody who was made president or governor or councillor and he told himself, oh, I want to be a failure. It's never happened. Everybody wants to succeed. But mind you, that the road to hell is always paved with good intentions. And let me end on a positive note. within this COVID period, I have traveled about 4 or 5 times to different countries in Africa. And what I found interesting is that there's been a very big change. Guess what? Because I found out long ago that if you want to understand a people, you watch their music, their movies. So anywhere I go to, even if I don't speak the language, whether it's Portuguese or French or Spanish, I always tune to radio stations, I tune to TV stations. And you know what? I just came back from Burkina Faso last week for First Park. I was on the jury. You know, it's the biggest film festival in Africa. And I was shocked to find out on all their, on Trace, all the music stations, the French-speaking Africans, they were mimicking Nigerian music. You would hear music, you think it's Wizkid or Davido. That will tell you the kind of influence we have. I would like to appeal to all of us on this platform today to please, let's go beyond saying what people want to hear. NSAS was good. Yes, it was good, but it could be better. It wasn't properly directed. That is the truth. And of course, you cannot give what you don't have. What is the experience of the youth in mass mobilization? Mind you, remember, people, that Fidel Castro, when they landed in Cuba for the revolution, they were ambushed. They were only 18 eventually that started the revolution, including Che Guevara. That man in a black beret on the t-shirt all over the world. Charles Taylor, when he crossed over from Cote d'Ivoire into Liberia to start the civil war, there were only 300, less than 300 fighters. So it's not even about numbers. It's about all of us, few of us, those that are willing to come out and say, today, I want to bring about change. I don't want just to come and talk on Alert Africa and millions of people to tune in. No, we must go beyond that. And I, Madu Chichikwandu, I have started a movement. It's called Move Niger. It's going to be available. Our target is to have 10 million members by 2023. This number would be enough to bring about positive change in Nigeria. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you so much. That's incredibly powerful, an incredibly powerful call to action, and to even challenge ourselves, the organizers of this discussion, in terms of what next and what we plan to do with the contribution that is being made here. So it's an opportunity to take a small break. I know time is fast running and we want to give as many people the opportunity to contribute to the conversation. But just to say that this has been recorded, we will be transcribing what has been discussed today. And the whole purpose of Alert Africa is to support the next generation, to support young people and help to build the leaders of tomorrow. And I'm sure everyone listening as well are also taking notes of some of the contributions that have been made in terms of what we can do as individuals and as the organizations that we lead. But from Alert Africa, we'll be taking note of all the contributions. There will be more conversations to be had because obviously there is a genuine issue about having those conversations, but also planning from these very specific actions that we can take forward. I particularly like your call to action in terms of voter registration and democratic participation from that perspective. And I think everyone here who has that power of influence should take the opportunity to raise awareness of one, of the importance of voting, but secondly, the importance of continuing to play a part in the political process and recognizing that democratic engagement is not just an issue of one day of casting a vote, but of an ongoing engagement with our politics and also with communities. If you are thinking of supporting an NGO or any sort of way in which you can play a role in that sense. I know we've scheduled to finish at 19:30 and we will finish on time. So I will move on, but to assure you, Madhu, and everyone listening, that there will be follow-up action from this discussion. It's not going to be in vain. And we're also going to make sure that the contributions that have been made are promoted so that more people get to see the content as well. So if I can invite Paul Play, aka Paul I.K. Dairo, an award-winning Nigerian musician, songwriter, and entertainment businessman, to make his contribution. Paul, over to you.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Nero. Good evening, my distinguished colleagues.
Good evening, Mr. Paul.
Yeah, I've been listening to what everybody has been saying regarding the way forward. Basically, what I can say now is that we have to start looking for solutions to our problems. We've talked about the answers. We talked about what we need to do. The last speaker made a very strong comment about the young people getting their voters card. And I believe that we need to start looking for ways to get the young Nigerians to, through all our platforms, because I know that some of us have 1 million followers, 2 million followers. We are also influencers. And like we said, we have the power to change the course of the nation. So I believe that we should go on all our platforms and encourage the young people to get their voters card, do their registration and get their voters card. I spoke with Mr. Iboro some time ago, and he told me that they made some changes in the electoral process, which includes direct primaries and the fact that electronic voting has been commissioned or whatever. I don't know. That's what he said. But with that happening, it means that Nigerians, especially the young people, now have the opportunity to make that change that they've been crying about, that they've been making so much agitations about. I also want to talk about us as musicians, because some of our of the people that I discuss with on social media, they always come up to me and say that celebrities are not really involved. They're not in touch with their base. They're not in touch with the people that actually created and paved way for them, so to speak. That we're always, indifferent to the situation on ground. We're always acting as if we are living a good life, and people are suffering. There's insecurity problem in the country. There is kidnapping. There's agitation for secession. There's so much unemployment. Graduates are looking for a job. That celebrities are not really in touch with their base. And I always try to defend, my colleagues, to say that, look, you know what? We see what's going on. Some of us are afraid. Some of us have pitched tents with the politicians. Some of us are always out there to speak. Somebody like me, I put a lot of posts on social media. I've been warned several times by people from corridors of power about my statements about the situation in the country. But my point, my major focus right now is how are we going to harness the situation? How are we going to make that great change? Because we are all we are musicians, we are influential. We can use our platforms to drive that change that we're expecting. So my focus right now is how are we going to do that? How are we going to get people to realize that, yeah, now you can vote and your vote will count? Because a young man out there, every young man out there believes, women out there believes that your vote will not count. And so much noise about election in 2023 will always be manipulated, and the right person will never get to power. So we need to, educate them. We need to tell them what's on ground. We need to tell them about that. There is direct primaries now. There is other ways that we can make that change in our country, and be in full support and make sure that all Nigerians that are suffering will see that we're actually fighting for them. And if you're talking about moving ahead with this forum, I believe that if we are able to get that audience from the parliament, it will also help to give the young Nigerians that confidence that, yeah, truly a change is actually, it's going to happen. That change is going to happen. So what they're expecting is going to happen. So from what everybody has said, I don't have any other thing to say, because people have said everything that I wanted to say. But my aim right now is that we should, start looking for solutions to the problem, to see how we can get the young people to vote and, take their space in the political arena.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that contribution. And as we can, 1.5 hour clearly has to be an introductory conversation, because it's clearly not enough to even begin to start to engage on the challenges that face Nigeria and then to think about the solutions. So we will be coming back to you, as we've said. We want to host a number of further conversations globally, not just in Nigeria, but also here in the House of Lords in the UK. We'll be planning such an engagement over here, if possible, also in the United States. We want to get views from a number of people. I would also like to come back to Mr. Mike Corey at some stage, please. So if you can just bear in mind in terms of just some concluding words on the way forward. But if we can go to Mike Asuko, an award-winning cartoonist, to make his contribution, please. Thank you, Mike.
Hello, thank you very much. My name is Mike Asuko. I'm a cartoonist. I actually studied fine arts and went into cartooning. I think that we have said lots of nice things in the course of this conversation. In fact, if we had to draw out the solutions to Nigeria's problem, I mean, by now we just have it ready, signed and sealed. But from everything I've been said so far, especially about the NSAS issue, there's something that is actually standing out like a sore thumb, and that is the dwindling civic pride, and patriotism among the youths. And the question is, what is bringing about that? What is actually the cause of the distrust between those in power and the youth? Because you could see that some years ago, the civil pride was so strong, so much so that if I remember the then Minister for Information, who even tried to say, look, you guys should stop saying Niger, this is Nigeria. And so you were saying, no, this is Niger. You can see that, you can see the pride. You can see when we mention Nigeria, there was that pride that comes with that statement. There was that zeal, that patriotism that was so evident, so glaring. But right now, they are disappearing. The love for one's country seems to be replaced with the love for those in power. So now, what the job need to do is just to find somebody in power and love, and then I expect good things to come to you. And so it's a problem. There is that lack of collective responsibility, especially between the elders and the youth. So there is the mutual suspicion is just permanent. That to the extent that nobody even trusts, no youth ever trust the government again on anything. As a cartoonist, of course I have lots of followers, and most time my page on social media are always very rife with discussion, conversations around issues. And I discovered that, gradually, lots of youths are losing interest in anything Nigerian. And you could actually trace that to the NSAS problem, because the problem was there. But I think the NSAS was like the nail in the coffin. The entire thing really exposed, really made it so worse that you don't even believe anything about the government again. You could see that just recently the government launched an app, the Inara, and the negative review was so much that the app has to be yanked off Google page. So this shows that that there is a lot of work to be done to bridge that gap between the rulers and the youth, the elders and the youth, because the suspicion, the distrust is getting so much that the youth have lost interest in almost everything Nigerian. So there is a lot of work to be done there, and I believe that like someone said that the those with the wherewithal, those with the social capital to really galvanize their followers can see that there's a job to be done there, and see how we can work towards disabusing the minds of the youth about Nigeria, and see how people could be brought back on track, because there is need for us to reconsider our stance, on political participation. There is the apathy, against election, is so much so that a lot of people they don't even know where their voters' cards are right now. And so there is need to bring people back on track on that, because without that political participation, without that inclusion, the solution will continue to elude us. You can't make any impact, from the outside. You can't make any impact when you don't have any voice, on what is going on around you. And so far as people are scared of participating in politics, the wrong people will always hatch on to the reign of power, and that will continue to keep us where we find ourselves today.
Thank you very much.
So I believe that we need to do more of advocacy to bring lots of the youth back on track. We need have to invest in advocacy. So for now, that is what I just have to say, so that as time goes on, we'll be talking about the solutions and what could be done further. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We will carry on for just a little bit longer, but we are in the process of winding down. I'm going to give the opportunity to Leonard Onwadi to make a contribution, but I also just want to say Susan Omotosho and Blessing Ugbem are also on the call. If you do want to say something, just indicate to me, please. Once Leonard has concluded, then I'll give the opportunity to you. Leonard, over to you, please. Leonard?
Hello, can you hear me?
Oh, we can hear you now. Thank you very much.
I'd like to make my submission, first and foremost, by juxtaposing, the instrument mentality, idealization, and ventilating the mindset of the people or the desires of the people through content. We've heard of NSAS. Yes, what NSAS? The question, if you remember very well the story of Joseph Lenin of the Soviet Union, how he stripped a chicken of his head, almost strangled the chicken to death, and after a while, he was carrying a lump of bread in his hand, and then he started dropping the crumbs on the floor, and the chicken went after it. And then he told, that was in the last days of his rule, he told his henchmen, he said, that is how to rule the people. That is one strategy the leaders of our nation have mastered. In doing this, they have known that if they continue to deny Nigerians of basic amenities, many of the youths will come begging. Let's wait for the next election. Guess what will happen? You're going to see our youths collecting money from these politicians and still following them because of that same system that our politicians have mastered. Now, let's talk about what the NSAS did, as far as I'm concerned, is using idolization. Nigerians idolize entertainers, Nigerians idolize musicians, movie makers, and so on and so forth. Yes, they were because I wasn't part of it, because I wasn't around then, but they were able to use their voices, to make a statement. But it goes beyond just using voices to make a statement. I think we should go back to what people like Fela Anikulapo Kuti started way back. And that is ventilating, our grievances through music or the audiovisual medium. When I say the audiovisual medium, I want to rule out the broadcast industry. I'm a broadcaster, a veteran of that, and also a movie maker. But I've realized that majority of the radio and TV stations in Nigeria are owned by politicians. Nigerian journalists, they've all been compromised. Forgive me if I say all, but most of them have been compromised. I've been there. I know what I went through when June 12th was annulled by Babangida then. Then I was a practicing broadcaster in FRCN. We would go to town, gather our news, and then by the time we are about to go on air with the news, we'll be asked to change the story. Those who refuse paid dearly for it. People like Bisi Olatilo paid dearly. After he read the news, if you remember, after he read the news that day, when he announced the annulment of the June 12th, after he finished reading the news, he said, Nigerians, this story was given to me. I am not the one who's saying this. Because of that, he was, thrown out of Lagos. He was transferred to one isolated place, I think somewhere in the north, where he suffered for a very long time. Some of us almost lost our lives on my way because we were attacked that day. But each time I read the news, I used ways to let Nigerians know that this news have been doctored. And it wasn't long after then that I resigned from FRCN. So let's rule out the radio and TV stations or even the print media. Because time is fast spent now, what we need to do right now is to go to the last point, which I mentioned, which is ventilating our grievances through, when I say audiovisual, I mean music and the movie industry. A lot of producers are scared. A lot of musicians will tell you, no, if I sing about what they are doing to Nigerians, people may not buy it. You don't say that. When Fela started it, Fela didn't know that people would follow him. One thing I've learned from music, because I'm a musician, one thing I've learned from music, like they say, music is sweet noise. Whatever you churn out to people, the more you play it, the more it goes into the psyche of the people. If everybody begins to sing about the, if everybody begins to ventilate grievances through music and then through movies, I bet you the psyche of the Nigerian youth will change. Right now, the Nigerian youth have been so debased to the level that by the time you ask them to come out again, if you ask them again to come out for answers, mark my words, they won't come out, or maybe a few of them will come out, or maybe by the time they cite the police or the army, everybody will run away. That is using the instrument of what's it called, coercion, which this government and past governments have mastered. Are you going to tell me that the new government is not going to use the same thing? So we're just going to be in the same vicious circle unless we begin to change the psyche of the youth, because they're the leaders of tomorrow. Let them begin to know that leadership is in their hands. Let them begin to know that their voices can count. Let them begin to know that. I know that a lot of them are so disenfranchised because they know that if they like one of the contributors said, the youth should begin to go into politics. My brother, if they go into politics, I've been into politics for a while before I left. If the youth go into politics, they are going to be compromised. There are just no two ways about that. They're going to be compromised. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that contribution. And I think very powerful. We will be capturing that in our notes. Just to say that we are proposing a physical meeting in Lagos, hopefully on the 29th of November, and we will be coming back to you. Hopefully you can attend, but also you can encourage other people to participate as well. Susan and Blessing, if you do want to introduce yourself, please just indicate, just unmute and go ahead. Otherwise, I will hand over now. I think I would just 1 minute final contributions. If we can go to Lancelot first and then Mr. Mike Corey, that would be great. So Lancelot, over to you first, just for 1 minute, kind of round up words, please. Thank you. We can't hear you. You are on mute.
Are you hearing me now?
Yes, we can hear you now. Thank you.
I want to align strongly with Madu C. Chikwendu. We share the same emotions as it concerns this. I am of the opinion that we must begin to push alert Nigeria. We need somebody to spearhead, an organization to spearhead, trying to see how we can deliberately begin to use these little skits, entertainment piece, to push for the change that we desire. I'm also going to be doing mine, trying to encourage people to go take up their voters card and for us to start participating. Honestly, we must be honest with ourselves that there is this fear. When my wife is looking at me, when I tell her I want to go into politics, like I've made up my mind to go into politics, they're all scared because that's the way they've made it very unsafe. But we cannot begin to stand by the sideline. We must begin to jump into the ring and participate by way of using our instrument, using our potentials to soften the ground before we go in. So we want to deliberately keep pushing like Alert Nigeria. Let's see how we can begin to push little skits, audiovisual materials to start conscientizing or reconscientizing our society for a better understanding of where we are and encouraging participation of our people. I'm going to be doing one very soon, and as my own contribution to encouraging active participation by us. I just moved my voters card from Lagos to my domain in Benin, where I belong, because I have a good conscience to begin to participate. All of this fame, all of this regard we get, what are they going to be for if we cannot begin to use it to effect change in our society? So I call on my colleagues, I call on entertainers, I call on musicians, I call on, well, you cannot also take away the fact that everybody wants to eat. Our society also wants to. There's a way they abhor this political, this sentiment of political works. But we must begin to push and see how we can effect this change in our society. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very, very impressive. Over to you, Mr. Mike Koro, please.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I'll be very brief. I think just listening to all the really brilliant contributions, I'm really more of a proactive person. I'm not someone who really likes to talk a lot. I think it's just really about what can we do right now. But let's break it down this way. Let's think about Nigeria. Let's break down Nigeria, because I think some of the problems is, you know, as they say, don't eat the elephant. We should eat the elephant slowly, right? We think that there can be one movement in a short period of time that will change the president and change the cabinet and change everything at once, and so we can fix the country. Impossible. It's not going to happen. So we have to really break it down. And let me ask a question. If we had 774 local governments that were working excellently, would Nigeria have a problem? Do you understand? If we had 774 local governments that worked perfectly and served their people, would Nigeria have a problem? No. Because at that time, whatever the president is doing, he's doing it for his own pocket. So sometimes it's easier for us to do the small changes. In our local governments, are we getting the right candidates actually who are educated, who are empowered, who can actually fight for their own autonomy and who can maintain that? Let's start with that. Let's start with something as basic as that. Let us work in our local governments and win those chairmanship positions and guide them right, because that is the most important layer of interaction for every single person. Then in 7 years' time, we can talk about, oh, let's go to governor and House of Reps and keep going up. But the truth is, I don't see any significant change in 2023 that's going to be a total 360 turn, except there's a revolution. Then the second thing I also want to make is that the point around voting, we know voting counts. That's why they buy votes, and that's why they keep voting for votes. So it's imperative that we do that. And I would say that the entertainment industry can do something really amazing. We can do free concerts, free signings. Some of you are really huge stars here. There are many young people who just want to sit down at your feet and hear a word. You know, somebody sitting down with Soninegi for 5 minutes and says, look, all the songwriting is this. But for you to have a one-on-one with me, get your voter's card. I'll be at such and such hall. 500 of you people can come in and I'll have a conversation with you. As simple as that. People will go and get it because of that incentive. So we can break it down to really small bits where I think can be effective. Then, you know, like I said, we'll eat the elephant over time. But right now, let's start with, you know, the fingernails of the elephant. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. And I just want to say a huge thank you to every one of you who have made a contribution this evening. It's been incredibly fantastic. I have personally learned a lot and taken a lot from this. And in the work I want to do in supporting Alert Africa, I think there's a lot of contribution here that will come to play within that. So huge thank you to every single one of you. And Madhu said something that I think is incredibly powerful, which is that we project into the future. But when you look into the future, what you must recognize is that what you do today matters for what's going to happen 10 years from now or 15 years from now. So the importance of actions that we take today is clear for all of us to see. And I think from Alert Africa, that is exactly what we want to be focusing on. Those specific actions, simple actions, the sort of local government actions that I've just been talking about, that we need to take in order to drive towards achieving that bigger vision that we want to see for our country. So thank you all so much. There will be more conversation, but also more action to follow. And we hope that you will join us and continue to support Alert Africa as an organization in this journey to contribute to the change that we all want to see in Nigeria. So if I can invite Iboro to once again to give the vote of thanks and to just say some few final words. Iboro, over to you.
Thank you very much, sir. I want to say a big thank you to all our guests for finding time to spend such a long time with us. We know as a businessman how much this costs in terms of, you know, naira, dollars, and cents. I also want to say a big thank you to our viewers across the world and our supporters. You can always reach out to us and be part of this movement by going on our website, www.alertafrica.uk, or sending emails to volunteer or sending emails to info@alertafrica.uk. There is a lot of work to be done and we can do it. We are looking to have a physical event in Lagos on the 29th of next month, and also having an event in the House of Lords in the UK, where we'll be having this conversation with community of Nigerians and taking things beyond conversation and to action. As we speak at the moment, we have great projects with Policy House UK, Gotney Training Institute, Leadership Center here in Abuja, and Pinecone Strategy to train leadership of political leadership, political party chairmen, state chairmen, and across the country, the 18 political parties in Nigeria at the moment, so we can institutionalize, you know, and consolidate on credible leadership and credible leadership processes so that the right people can come on board. There are all other community development projects we are taking on. And as we move with this conversation, more and better strategies will come forward. I would also like to ask us, I know we've done a lot, especially with Audu Maikori, Paul Play, and most of other artists we have on here today, and filmmakers like Lancelot Imasu and Kanayo unfortunately couldn't be here, but most of the speakers, he recommended them. We also know our brothers and sisters who are doing really well in the industry and who want to contribute, but maybe they're being there's setbacks here and there, and it takes one colleague to speak to the other to get us to move. The entertainment industry is incredibly powerful, and I know we can use the tools that we have to change this nation. And like Audu Maikori said, we might not get the big elephant, but we can get the feet. And that is exactly what we're aiming for, one step at a time. So thank you so much for having time to be with us today, and I look forward to more engagements. Have a wonderful evening. Even though we're ending at the moment, the room would be open for personal conversations and all the rest of them, what we call behind the scene conversations. So enjoy your evening and God bless.
Thank you all so much. So we will stop the recording and then we'll just leave it there, and anyone can just unmute and have a chat if you want. So thank you all so much.
Thank you so much, Ogasoni. God bless you. You've done really well. Thanks for coming on.
Rosani.
Ogawa.